It's all ahead on National Geographic Explorer. Explorer is brought to you by MCI, the long-distance company that brings you friends and family.
Imagine the vista the pioneers saw when they first crossed America. An endless plain of grass, a vast sea of buffalo, both so immense it seemed like they would never disappear. Hello again, and welcome to Explorer. Today, the tall grass prairie has all but vanished. But in a few small pockets of the American heartland, these great meadows endure, a window onto our nation's past. And now across the Oklahoma prairie, a distant rumble can be heard. The rumble of the buffalo, coming home at long last.
I am the tall grass prairie. My music is the sound of fire. And in the wind, many voices can be heard.
I am the beast of the grasslands. They call me American Buffalo, but I was here long before this land was America. My music is the sound of thunder.
I am the tall grass prairie. I have a story to tell.
The prairie has been called many things. The heartland, the American Serengeti, the fruited plain, and a vanishing symbol of the frontier. But the heart of the tall grass prairie is grass, 150 different kinds, with names like bluestem, Indian grass, switchgrass, prairie dropseed, wild rye, and porcupine needlegrass. Together, they make up the only grassland of its kind in the world. It's a subtle canvas, and it might seem a somber one, if not for the prairie's abundant dance of wildflowers. Some prairie plants tower 9 feet high, and in them abides a multitude, perfectly adapted for a grassy world. 301 separate species of grasshoppers have been counted here, and more than 200 different bees. Scores of songbirds nest among the grasses, like this meadowlark. And some 50 mammals inhabit the prairie, including the tiny acrobatic harvest mouse. And yes, there are snakes in the grass. Hungry predators that slither unseen along the ground. But of all the creatures on the prairie, one dominated these grasslands from the beginning. The buffalo and the prairie evolved together, and neither can truly thrive without the other. Native to no other continent, they are North America's largest land animal. Fully grown males can weigh more than 1 ton. The crushing hooves and the grinding teeth of bison kept this landscape what it was. In large numbers, they cut, tilled, and fertilized the grass, just what a prairie needs to prosper. But bison aren't the only great force on the prairie. The Osage Indians called it red buffalo. And for centuries, wildfire raged across this land. Like the buffalo, fire shapes the prairie, keeping it what it is by burning back anything that might become forest. A lucky cotton rat may escape to underground refuge, but many small creatures perish. The red buffalo runs as fast as the wind, trampling whatever is in his wake. But for all its furious drama, fire is not the destroyer of prairie. An ashy dust devil blowing across the charred horizon appears as death triumphant, but life makes no retreat here. In just days, the scorched prairie is reborn. Fire is a life-giving force here, unlocking nutrients and exposing the earth to sun. New grass shoots prepare a fitting stage for the springtime dance of the prairie chickens. Male birds establish dominance this way in the competition for mates. But prairie is more than just plants and animals. Since prehistoric times, there have also been people here. At least 11,000 years ago, the ancient ancestors of these Osage and other Native Americans lived off the bounty of this land. By the time of the Renaissance in Europe, these grasslands were home to some 30 tribal cultures, and in many of them, one animal was sacred, the buffalo. For thousands of years, the people here relied on bison for food, clothing, tools, and weapons. The Osage people believed the beast with horns curving inward was a gift of the great Creator, thought to have mystical powers. The creature was a symbol of creation and fertility. And no wonder there was an unfathomable number of them. No one knows exactly how many wild buffalo once roamed free on this continent. Maybe 60 million, maybe more, before the European settlers came. But settlers did come, and in the scheme of history, it took only the blink of an eye to change the prairie forever. In a hunting frenzy unmatched on the planet, buffalo hunters launch a wholesale slaughter of the largest animal on the continent. In the late 1800s, buffalo becomes the raw material for a host of industries. Businesses built on a seemingly endless supply of hides, tongues, meat, and bones. By 1890, it's over. The wild buffalo is so scarce, it's no longer profitable to hunt it. And all that's left of tens of millions of animals are bones. Almost unbelievably, in less than a single century, the great herds were reduced to 541 individual buffalo. But the story of the prairie and her buffalo does not end here. Back from the verge of extinction, American bison now number about 140,000. Today, most are privately owned and confined on ranches, like this one near Bartlesville, Oklahoma. But these buffalo won't be here long. Soon, in the largest bison release in conservation history, this herd of 300 buffalo will be freed into the landscape where they evolved. In the meantime, though, they'll do what their species has always done in spring: give birth. Buffalo are extremely social creatures whose behavior is remarkably synchronized. Often, several calves are born to a herd in a single day. Other females sometimes investigate a laboring mother, aware of what's happening thanks to their keen sense of smell. Though labor may go on for hours, the actual delivery is usually relatively fast. This young cow, named Blue Eye, has just given birth to a female calf. Just minutes old, Button wobbles to her feet and nurses almost right away. Countless times for countless centuries, this spring nativity scene has graced the land we call America. But America has changed. A century and a half ago, tall grass prairie covered 224,000 square miles of this country. Most prairie gave way to farmland, and land too rocky to plow was ranched. Today, the prairie has shriveled to mere scraps of the American quilt. But there is some hope for this once proud landscape. Here in the Flint Hills of Oklahoma, the Nature Conservancy seized a rare opportunity. The group purchased a 35,000-acre tract of grazing land. The property is now being restored as the largest tall grass prairie preserve in the world. This is the future home of Button and her herd. Soon the preserve will help ensure that one piece of America's heritage will not disappear from the earth.
Still ahead, another symbol of the American heartland is reborn when conservationists reintroduce the red buffalo to the burgeoning prairie. After this on TBS.
The following geographic moment is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Wednesday. It's tough being a reporter. It's tougher being the story. Paul Newman.
What do you write about when the investigation's over and the guy's innocent?
Sally Field, Absence of Malice, 8:05 Eastern, Wednesday. Turn to TBS.
There are a lot of reasons why we created Ford Windstar with over 40 standard safety features, including standard dual airbags and standard anti-lock brakes. Many reasons for giving Windstar secure handling and making it longer for a smoother ride. We could acquaint you with some of these reasons, but why wake them up? Ford Windstar, created for the most important people in the world.
Much of what the American Red Cross does never makes the evening news. The quiet task of helping families. MCI's New Friends and Family is a sponsor of the Red Cross because in many ways we feel we're in the same business. The business of helping families stay close, stay together. Through our efforts, we hope that a company known for saving money can help save far more.
This is no accident, and neither is this. Insurance fraud involves everything from staged accidents to arson to false medical claims, and it cost policyholders and their companies $18 billion last year. State Farm has long been a leader in the fight against fraud, and now we're working even closer with law enforcement agencies to help prosecute these criminals, because when they get away with fraud, everyone pays.
One sugar-free gum has flavor that really goes the distance. Extra lasts extra long.
Look inside today's PCs. You'll find something pretty amazing. The Intel Pentium processor. It gives PC software more life, more action, more energy. So if you want your PC software to really move, make sure your PC has the Intel Pentium processor.
And now, back to National Geographic Explorer.
Before the first buffalo are released here, workers will restore the other essential force on the prairie, fire.
Yeah, I'm going to lie right along the creek, let the fire carry up the hill.
In a bold attempt to simulate nature, they're setting fire to 6,000 acres, deliberately doing what once occurred randomly.
Pretty good. It's just about burned down to the road now. You know, just ease along once the smoke clears. Okay, we're moving.
Fire doesn't kill most prairie plants whose roots may reach 15 feet underground. The prairie will grow new green grass in the singed area, nutritious food for a herd of buffalo. Although it's been ranched for more than a century, the preserve still has a large number of native prairie plants, and many animals never left the grasses here. The rocky landscape is just the sort of terrain a collared lizard prefers. Actually, an iguana, the agile reptile can move swiftly across the jagged outcroppings, watching out for trespassers in his territory. Should he meet another male, the two will face off until one of them loses his nerve. Not all prairie action is out in the open. Hidden among the stems is a grass highway, a world of soft tunnels that shelters smaller creatures, providing some cover from hawks and other raptors. Here, a cotton rat forages for food. In the dense maze, she relies on all her senses to tell her what lurks around the next corner. Back in her burrow, she looks after a hungry litter. And just in time. A timber rattlesnake on the move can probably smell the rodent family. But this time it passes by. But other small creatures aren't so lucky. Recently abandoned, a nest of prairie chickens is extremely vulnerable in open grassland. A hungry black rat snake just hit pay dirt. Chicken and eggs for supper. Darkness brings no lull to the drama here. The prairie is alive by night. Only 6 inches long, the tiny Texas brown snake plucks an even tinier meal from the moist earth. Nearby, a harvest mouse comes down from the stems to check on her nestful of babies. About the size of jelly beans, the young mice won't venture out for at least a week or two. In for the night, their mother carefully conceals the nest from predators. When daybreak comes, it is greeted by the dew, and the prairie's morning ritual begins as it always has. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, midsummer is a time of gentle changes. Button is now 9 weeks old. Her coat is getting darker, and she's beginning to grow horns. The calves spend their time frolicking and grazing on the grass, but they still nurse as well. A buffalo cow can store only small amounts of milk at a time, so calves must nurse frequently. And not every mother has patience for that. Even on the limited confines of a ranch, buffalo are wanderers. Unlike cattle, they graze and move on, a habit that's good for the diversity of plants. On the open prairie, this meandering works the soil and carves lasting trails in the land. And if the buffalo shaped the prairie, so too did the prairie shape the buffalo. Eons of evolution there gave them strong teeth for cutting grass and hoofs for traveling through it. Ranch or prairie, wherever there are buffalo, there's at least one wallow. Here, by rubbing out insects and loose hair, the animals make themselves a little more comfortable in the summer heat. And if wallowing works up a thirst, it's time to start moving again. On the ranch, the watering hole is only a short walk away. On a prairie, buffalo once traveled 50 or 100 miles in a day, a freedom these animals could never experience in their present enclosure. But very soon, life will change dramatically for Button's herd. A prairie is being made ready for them.
Next, moving day lies ahead. Will wild buffalo once again grace the land of the tall grass prairie? And plunging to the bottom of the sea, the Lusitania took more than 1,000 innocent people with her. We'll scour the wreckage for clues to this horrific World War I mystery. After this on TBS.
TBS has critics all revved up about Driving Passion. They're calling it absorbing, affectionate, literate, and entertaining, compelling, a heck of a lot of fun. Join TBS for an incredible look at America's lifelong love affair with the car. Driving Passion, a special encore presentation, 10:35 Eastern, Monday, exclusively on TBS.
No matter where you're going, don't you really spend all your time in one place? That's why the Dodge Stratus seating engineers used pressure mapping to help eliminate things that might push and poke and cause fatigue, which makes Stratus the place you'll want to end up, no matter where you're going. New Dodge Stratus. It's full of answers. Get 1.9% financing, or lease Dodge Stratus for $199 a month.
Oral-B decided the best way to get rid of plaque would be to build a better toothbrush. The advantage: its power tip really gets behind your back teeth, and its action cup is great at removing plaque along the gum line. It's the best toothbrush ever from Oral-B.
If you got a beard, we've got your number. Introducing the adjustable Maverick beard and mustache trimmer with 6 different settings. Man, does this do a number on beards. Maverick from Norelco.
You're watching National Geographic Explorer.
See Jane work on plane. Jane on plane gets idea in brain. Insane. Ideal for Blaine. Insane. Jane puts idea in plan. Sends to Dan in Spokane. Elucidate plan as only you can. Dan sends urgent demand. Gets Excel sheet from Liz, financial whiz. Presto. Dan has presentation in hand. Sends to Jane in Spain. Fab result. Jane exults. Dan dreams of sand in can. Microsoft Office and Mail. Where do you want to go today?
There's a place where the water is as clear as a blue summer sky, where you can play, get in shape, or relax and do nothing at all. A place where you can be with your children, or with your spouse, or just by yourself. A place that's refreshing and cool, and as close as your backyard, your own pool. It's not just a place, it's a way of life. Make it yours. Call 1-800-323-3996.
Right now, when you buy 2-liter bottles of Canada Dry Ginger Ale, you can win a Princess Cruise for 2 to Alaska. See participating retailers for other ways to enter. No purchase necessary.
Wednesday, it's tough being a reporter. It's tougher being the story. Paul Newman.
What do you write about when the investigation's over and the guy's innocent?
Sally Field, Absence of Malice, 8:05 Eastern, Wednesday. Turn to TBS.
And now, back to National Geographic Explorer.
Late summer on the preserve. Even this small scrap of grassland can provide a glimpse of America's past. There are more than 500 different plants sheltered here, and now many of them are coming into bloom. This is the season of abundance on the prairie, and even the tiniest creatures take advantage of it. By August, a single acre of prairie may be home to 10 million insects. Eventually, the prairie grows hot and dry. An empty riverbed provides a new frontier for a striped skunk's foraging. By September, the grasses are turning brown, ripening, and going to seed. Exactly to the taste of the cotton rat. An expert logger, this small rodent fells great stalks of grass to get to the seeds at the top. Now, day and night, the prairie harvest goes on. From mammals to insects, everything that can eat the grass does. For the creatures of the prairie, winter is not far off. The cliff swallows are ready for their annual trip south. When they return to their lush prairie, they'll share it with one more hungry grass eater. For Button and the herd, moving day has finally arrived. The final roundup has begun. Today, a symbol of America will return to the tall grass prairie. It will be no small task loading 300 powerful animals into trucks without injury to man or beast. It will take 4 trailers to transport the entire herd 40 miles to the Prairie Preserve. The actual release will be a national media event. These days, when buffalo run free, it makes the network news.
A herd of bison is free to return to its home on the prairie.
At one time, an estimated 60 million buffalo roamed the tall grass prairie.
The entire ecosystem, including the bison.
Today, the bison are returning to their ancestral home.
and the crowds who turn out to meet them necessitate
4 years ago, the Nature Conservancy bought a 30,000-acre Oklahoma cattle ranch and began to return it to tall grass.
For the first time in nearly a century, buffalo will once again roam the tall grass prairie.
Over 1,000 adults and children have turned out to see this historic moment on the prairie. Today, they'll witness something they can tell their grandchildren about.
Bison have returned to the tall grass prairie. Give them a hand. When the moment finally comes, the pomp and circumstance fade away. This day belongs to the prairie. After more than a century, this is once again where the buffalo roam.
I am the beast of the grasslands. I am a wild buffalo.
I am the tall grass prairie. My story is not over yet.
And now we turn to another chapter of history and one of our favorite storytellers here at National Geographic, Bob Ballard. As you probably know, Ballard is the explorer who found the Titanic. Now he examines another great maritime mystery, the riddle of the Lusitania, the glamorous ocean liner that sailed into a war zone in May of 1915 and was destroyed. It's perhaps the most controversial sea tragedy of all time. And Ballard is setting out to learn what really happened and why.